let's talk about what he said yesterday regarding Zohran Mamdani. We are going to go ahead and roll this SOT. It is B6, Trump being asked about Zohran Mamdani.
Your beloved New York City may well be led by a communist soon, Zohran Mamdani, who in his nomination speech said he will defy ICE and will not allow ICE to arrest criminal aliens in New York City. Your message to communist Zohran Mamdani?
Well, then we'll have to arrest him. Look, we don't need a communist in this country, but if we have one, I'm going to be watching over him very carefully on behalf of the nation. We send him money. We send him all the things that he needs to run a government. And by the way, they get about 3 times what you get, Ron. If you look at the per capita, Florida gets 1/3 of what New York gets in terms of the numbers. Why don't you give us those numbers?
Yeah, well,
because that's what we should send him.
Yeah, well, like sometimes people say Florida gets more because they count Social Security recipients, but that's not money to the state. Those are seniors that live here. If they moved to North Carolina, you could count it there. So it has no interaction with the state government. They get more in the city and state governments than we get.
Right, substantially. We're going to be watching that very carefully, and a lot of people are saying he's here illegally. We're going to look at everything, but.
So here's B7. This is how Zohran Mamdani responded. And I actually am curious what you make of this, Ryan. I found his response to be quite interesting. He says, the president of the U.S. just threatened to have me arrested, stripped of my citizenship, put in a detention camp, and deported, not because I've broken any law, but because I will refuse to let ICE terrorize our city. His statements don't just represent an attack on our democracy, but an attempt to send a message to every New Yorker who refuses to hide in the shadows. If you speak up, they will come for you. We will not accept this intimidation. And then he goes on to talk about Eric Adams, says Trump included praise for Eric Adams and his authoritarian threats is unsurprising, but highlights the urgency of bringing an end to this mayor's time in City Hall, goes on to talk about destroying the social safety net, kicking millions of New Yorkers off health care, enriching their billionaire donors at the expense of working families, a scandal that Eric Adams echoes this president's division, distraction, and hate. Ryan, the reason I found that statement interesting is he pivots to the social safety net and pivots to Eric Adams kicking New Yorkers off health care, et cetera, billionaire donors. Yeah, he pivots to class warfare, essentially. And when Trump was asked that question by very MAGA Benny Johnson, I think, is in his own mind the strategy, not that he wouldn't have said that anyway, but in the strategy, or in the question of strategy, what they're trying to do is get Mamdani to talk about immigration as much as possible, because as unpopular as the way Donald Trump's ICE has approached this is in a blue city like New York, the immigration policies of the Biden administration and the way Eric Adams handled them at first was deeply unpopular, which is why Eric Adams then pivoted. So I think Republicans see an opportunity to talk about immigration over and over again. Mamdani in his statement pivoted. Yeah. That I thought was pretty interesting.
Right, because I think that's right, because as Bannon said, Mamdani is the first populist who has connected populism to affordability.
Yes.
Which is a huge indictment of our political class across the spectrum. That this guy's the first one that's been able to do it. And so
that's a good point.
I think Trump and Bannon recognize that they're vulnerable to him on that issue. And prices are going up, and they just, your energy bills are going to be going up pretty soon thanks to this big, beautiful bill, et cetera. And so, yes, they think they're on better ground if they can get him back to, they want to be back in like 2018, 1920, where they're fighting Democrats on cultural issues.
Mm-hmm. Yes, absolutely.
That's where Bannon and Trump feel comfortable.
And when Zohran, by the way, was tweeting things about how defunding the police was queer liberation, which he doesn't talk about anymore.
Right. They like that. Like that's where Trump wants to be.
Yeah.
Like he wants to bring that Democratic Party back.
Force him into that.
The problem for Trump is Zohran's not really going to take that bait, but B, their issue of immigration. Trump's losing the public on his own issue by being so over the top. Like if you look at the polling,
yes,
independents are now swinging again. People have very fluid views about immigration policy.
But then he and Stephen Miller are betting on being the lesser of two evils, right? That even if their popularity dips, Dems' popularity with things like sanctuary cities, for example, which are massive pull factors, although less so when
what
the
he's letting him
sealed.
do is defend. What he's letting like Zohran do is like defend against like masked ICE agents, just scooping people off the street. Which the public's like, what are you doing?
Yeah,
this is not how we do things.
Yeah.
Especially with all these people now impersonating ICE agents across the country. It's becoming like an actual legitimate crime problem. It's like a safety issue, what ICE is doing. And so if you let them just say, we're against CCOT, we're against Alligator Alcatraz, we're against the masked agents doing fascism on the streets, then you don't force Democrats to like grapple with their unpopular immigration policies.
Right. And I think the Trump bet is that as long as Mamdani is talking about immigration, then Trump and Republicans, and probably Eric Adams as well, it's an opportunity for them to talk about sanctuary cities. And
and for Mamdani, as long as Trump is boosting Eric Adams and attacking Mamdani, Mamdani is just growing in popularity in New York.
That very well may be the case. The poll that came out yesterday, which showed, wasn't there a poll that came out yesterday that showed him hypothetically beating Cuomo? We got the final margin yesterday as well, which was what, 12 points?
Yeah,
a 12-point rout of Andrew Cuomo. I mean, unbelievable. I thought a general election poll came out yesterday showing if Cuomo were to win. Anyway, I'll look it up. Yeah. But it wouldn't be surprising at all if it were the case that Mamdani was winning.
But the more, it's just the more that Eric Adams gets associated with Trump.
Right.
Or Cuomo with Trump.
Right.
Or Mamdani as the anti-Trump, and it helps him.
Right. Yes. And finally, did you see, Ryan, this apology from Kirsten Gillibrand?
Yes.
So we put this last element up on the screen. I'm reading from Politico here. Kirsten Gillibrand apologized to Zohran Mamdani on Monday after she falsely claimed in a radio interview that the presumptive Democratic nominee for mayor of New York City had made, quote, references to global jihad. The junior senator and mayoral candidate spoke by phone Monday. And there was a readout of the call that Gillibrand's team gave to Politico that said Gillibrand apologized for mischaracterizing Mamdani's record and for her tone on the call. This is in reference to a Brian Lehrer segment where a caller asked Gillibrand about holding Mamdani to account for, quote, glorifying Hamas. And Ryan, this was like the Brian Lehrer segment heard round the left. This was
crazy
everywhere. Tell us a little bit about it.
I mean, it was bonkers. Go listen to it. She sounds completely unhinged, and Brian Lehrer gives her like 3 or 4 like opportunities to like correct herself and to like add in a little bit of complexity or humility or uncertainty about the situation. She's like, no, absolutely not. And at one point accuses him of wanting to wage global jihad,
yes.
which actually goes to Zohran's point. The reason he said in that initial interview, where he gave this long, like nuanced answer about why he wouldn't condemn the phrase globalize the intifada, he said basically because you're asking me to condemn a phrase that to some Arabic speakers, or to all Arabic speakers, means globalize the resistance.
Right.
And you can't ask an Arabic speaker to condemn the word resistance.
Right.
Like just because some people don't like it. It would be like saying that the Trump administration, whenever they arrest a pro-Palestine protester, they tweet out shalom. Mm-hmm. So therefore, when pro-Palestine people hear the word shalom, they get in their feelings about this assault on their dignity and their liberty. So therefore, nobody should say shalom anymore. It's the same logic. But it's absurd. No, shalom, that's not what it, like, I'm sorry. I mean, Trump is misusing the phrase.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean that nobody else can say it. And Gillibrand then makes his point that the whole argument is racist by confusing jihad and intifada. Because it doesn't matter to her. It's just scary sounding Arabic words. And so the entire political class, the media, all the Sunday shows, everyone tried to get him to condemn this phrase. He wouldn't, and Gillibrand winds up being the one that apologizes. That's, I don't know, it's too much to say it's a watershed moment, but it's definitely a data point.
They're going to have to bend the knee. They are slowly but surely realizing it.
Even Kathy Hochul told Gillibrand, like, there's no room for this racism in our state. If you lost Kathy Hochul, that's probably when she was like, okay, I need to apologize for this.
It's over.
Jeez.
Hey, if you like that video, hit the like button or leave a comment below. It really helps get the show to more people.
And if you'd like to get the full show ad-free and in your inbox every morning, you can sign up at breakingpoints.com.
That's right. Get the full show, help support the future of independent media at breakingpoints.com.